My heart rate has finally gotten back to normal. After an extremely tense final in Trondheim, Ulrikke Brandstorp is going to represent Norway in Eurovision. Let's kiki! Wow, this final was intense. That was such a fantastic final. I'm still trying to get my breath back. That final voting was unbelievable. First of all, we'll talk about the results in terms of the final 4 and the final 2, and then we'll talk a little bit about Ulrikke and her chances at Eurovision, and then we'll talk about what I thought about all the other performances of the night. So the final was between Ulrikke and Kristin. Kristin, a little bit of a surprise to me. Not that the song isn't great. This was 4th with the community, but I didn't think it was so popular. I don't even believe it was in the top 4 of the odds. I think it was around 5th, 6th. I called this as being a mid-table finish. Gotta admit, if Kristin had gone, I would have been a little bit disappointed. The song is decent, but to have a fun with so many songs I really love for a song that I'm not as massively behind to go, I would have been disappointed. I still think that Norway would have done well. I would have gotten behind her because I think she's a really sweet girl. So huge surprise that she was in the final with Ulrikke. Ulrikke a little bit more expected. She was favourite going into the show with the community, with the bookies. But the really surprising thing for me was how close it was at the end. They have the 4 and then they go into a final gold duel. Wow, it was so tense. I thought that Ulrikke was absolutely going to roll away with it and it was going to be this massive, gigantic win. Kind of like Icebreaker was in 2016. So the first results came out and she was maybe like 2,000-3,000 votes ahead. And then I think it was the votes from the West came out. Suddenly Kristin was like 30,000-40,000 ahead. It was so tense. They had pictures of them up and they had like the scores come in. It was very exciting. It was actually really, really well done. And the whole theme kind of fit in with what they've been doing in the show, which is that all the semi-finals were from different regions, and then in the final they had all their votes given. It got to the last voting, which was East, which obviously is where Oslo is. She was something like 100,000 votes behind, and in my head I was like, crap, how many people live in Oslo? How many people live in Oslo? I kind of remember in the past that generally it tends to be a 6-figure number for Oslo. But in the end, I think she won. I don't want to look at the numbers because I haven't watched the Armenian-Lithuanian national finals yet and I don't want any spoilers. But it looked like it only came down to 4,000 or 5,000 votes. It was extremely exciting. Another thing I'll say about this song I forgot to mention in my previous videos, it wasn't just written by Ketil Moreland. It was also written by the guy from A1. A1 were a British-Norwegian pop group. It was 3 British guys and a Norwegian guy. And the Norwegian guy is actually the lead songwriter and Ketil is the second songwriter. I was hoping they were going to show him, but I couldn't see him. I think it's a really, really, really great choice. The song is fantastic. In my original reaction to video, I wasn't really feeling it as much, but it was the live performance that brought this to life. Her performance is amazing. She pierces the camera, she makes that connection, and she makes you believe all the words. The lyrics I think also help a lot. They're very interesting. I love the staging, very simple and pared down, very Bond, sultry, sophisticated. But I also like the 2 girls who were kind of wearing suits playing the strings. I think too often with ballads, it's just one person on the stage. It can be a little bit like unnecessarily boring, where like you just have the 2 people there. It just gives you a little bit of something else to look at and then gives you something to cut to. One thing I'll say is those cuts, when she was getting to the final big chorus, they panned out a lot. This is one of my absolute Tom's faux pas no-nos. Do not cut out to the wide pan when you're getting to the final chorus. That's when we want to see her eyes. And that's when she made that connection, you know, when they did finally come into that eye connection last, it was really gave me chills. They need more of that now. So there were a couple of iffy things with the staging, but overall I think Norway's made a really, really great choice. I love the fact that Kristin was in the final 2. For me, that's I kind of love it when a televote makes me realize actually song is very good and I've kind of overlooked it before, and I like on reflection, yeah, I think that Kristin is deserving of being number 2. I found some of her staging a little bit unusual. She was wearing pinstripes. It looked a little bit like kind of New York gangstery. I didn't massively get the styling, but her performance, like she's so effortless. She's really, really strong vocals, great professionalism and competency in singing. And you know, it's not my type of song, but I know a lot of people who would like that song. So really great second place. There were 2 other songs who made it through to the second round, and when they announced them, they were panning across them. And Ryan Alexander's expression was great. He wasn't holding hands with anyone. He was literally just going like this and praying. It was actually, every time they went by him, I kept laughing because it got more and more desperate as there were like 2 places left. Like by the last place, he was like full on going like this. The third semi-finalist was Lisa. Big surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that. Someone told me that actually she isn't gay, which is, I find it a little bit odd that she's singing this song. I'm not sure if it was just that the songwriter is gay, and they've done that a little bit because I still think it's a very good message sent to the kids. I think the majority of people aren't going to know that. You know, I didn't know that until one of the people in my comments told me. So, you know, I still think it still holds that like very poignant thing. And then the last song was Raylee, a lot of tension. I was like, oh God, is it Rein or Raylee? I thought her performance tonight was okay. There wasn't really anything new. She looked quite nervous. She was like, you could see that she was looking around for when she was meant, like when they got into the rumble line, you could see her like looking at the ground, trying to get ready for it. She wasn't really in the moment, in the flow, the same way Eleni Ferrer was with Fuego, where she was totally enwrapped in the moment. You could see her mind working through the choreography in her head. And that's sometimes where the case where sometimes it's better to strip stuff down. Like Ryan Alexander didn't have very much choreography. He literally just stood still and had to go like this and this and this and let everyone else do the work around him. Maybe they should have done that a little bit more. I do think predominantly though Raylee just suffered from the fact that she was first in the draw. I think if she'd been a little bit later, Lisa for example was 10th. For example, if you'd swapped those songs, which I think would have been a pretty fair swap. I Am Gay was still an upbeat song. It could have opened the show. Raylee being 10th, a little bit fairer. She was one of the favourites. You got to think, would the gold final have been between Raylee and Ulrikke? Okay, let's come to some of the other songs that performed. First up, I got to say, I'm going to take something back. I have no problem admitting when I was wrong. Didrik and Emil, I did watch the whole of their performance. They did make some changes. They took out the interpretive boys dancing, which didn't work. I think I really exaggerated how bad this song is. It's really not that bad. I said it was a shit show. It's not a shit show. What I was trying to get across, which I didn't do very well, is that I just don't like it when there are songs that do better because of who the person is. And doesn't just go for Norway, it goes for many countries. I just feel it's really unfair. It's a little bit of an injustice when people have like a head start just because they're who they are. That's what irks me every year about Russia. When they send like an established male pop artist, they start with like 140 extra televote points. I've actually done the maths on that. For the two entries from Dima Bilan and Sergei Lasov, they started off with an average of 120 extra televote points, which is enough to put you in the top 10 without any other votes. I don't mind like a little bit of neighborly voting, but when people are like quite far ahead just because of who they are and not because of the song, that does hurt me. I think I was frustrated at that, and I kind of took it out in the song. The song is fine. I'm not going to download it or anything, but you know, it's not a shit show. I wouldn't want it to have won just because it was Didrik. Anyway, it didn't even make the finals, so stressing out about nothing. Tone Damli, I still say what I said. This is the only song I didn't make through. First time seeing Akuvi perform. Really loved seeing her sister in the audience. That was really fun. I didn't understand everything she was saying. Norwegian and Swedish are quite similar, and I speak a bit of Swedish, but not enough. Her performance was good. It looked very professional and choreographed, and she performed it very well. I hope she finished kind of like not too far off the final. Magnus Bokn's staging, it got very hoedown. I don't remember it being such a hoedown last time. Also, it was a slightly odd bit where he like took a very young girl and brought her off. I felt like it was very much aimed at kids. I was just kind of thinking like, that's fine if you want to aim at the kids, but just like don't come near my Eurovision. Yeah, I've still written down it was a bit Mormon themed. Ryan's performance, again, I really enjoyed that. I think this is one of my favorite performances. It was funny this time because I know that the flame was coming up. At the start during the first verse, he kept on going like this with his hands. I was like, he's got nothing in his hands. Where's the flame? Where's the flame? And then I saw while his dancers were doing their online workout routine, he had his hands behind his back and he was fiddling, and I have to admit I was quite distracted, but I was like, oh, I can see him like putting it into his hand. Obviously, if it's your first time watching, you definitely wouldn't notice that. And then he took it out and did the flame again. I really love this. Like, what a shame that this national final is so strong, because I think that is a very fantastic entry to send. I think really you've got 5 songs which would do very well in Eurovision and qualify. So it's kind of a sad thing when you have songs that would qualify that don't make it. This might be quite a controversial, but I wish that there were like maybe 3 or 4 countries who would just pick up remnants from national finals. I think that would be awesome. Like Emiliana OKOKO from Destination Eurovision 2 years ago. I absolutely love that song. It was my favorite. That was my most played song that year, and it didn't go. I would have loved just another country like Andorra or someone just come and pick that up and say, there you go. You don't have to do a national selection or anything. You just have to pay for them to go to the competition and represent you. San Marino are a little bit that kind of like wild card. I'd love to see San Marino pick up some of the dregs. Maruv, when she was disqualified, she was offered to represent, I think, 2 or 3 other countries. Presumably like maybe San Marino or Belarus or maybe Ireland, who knows. Okay, Sondrey was there as well. Again, this performance didn't really do enough. The issue I had with the suits is that because they're all wearing the same color, it looks a little bit like they're in a boy band. I think his suit should have had like a little extra pop of color or a different color or a stripe or something, because it did look like him and his 4 other boy band members who just were more into dancing than singing. But a lot of boy bands in the 90s, you would only have one singer and the rest would kind of just like sing backup vocals and dance. Overall, I thought the show was great. I thought it really flew by. I watched 9 of the 10 songs. I think Melfest is the only one where I'd watch all the songs. I watched 9 of the 10 songs, but the thing is I had the ability to skip because I was watching it on playback, so I didn't have to watch them, but I actually wanted to. Like, what a strong national final. The presenting was great. There was some really fun bits as well. They got this guy, I think they said he was Portuguese, but then he had a flag. I don't know if it was a flag for the Azores. I don't want to go on the internet in case I get any spoilers for Lithuania. But I think they did like a quiz with him. It was really good fun. It was like a quiz of Melodi Grand Prix. This guy's obsessed with Melodi Grand Prix. I can so see myself like that being me on like Destination Eurovision like 2030, being this like guy who just knows too much about it. How do I think Ulrikke will do at Eurovision? I definitely think this will qualify. This song is really strong. It will go through on the jury alone, but it'll get televoted as well. This is not just jury bait. It comes down to her performance, which has been so solid, and you only imagine that's going to get a little bit better. She needs to squint a little bit less. She needs more eye contact. She's very squinty when she sings, and when she does make eye contact, it's really electric. Some of the staginess needs to be cleaned up. Less panned out angles. Definitely none after halfway through the song. You don't need them. It should be all about her. Almost going for like a Slovenia last year thing where it's almost entirely based on her. I don't see why we need to pan out whatsoever. Love the gold and black staging. That really works. Real sophisticated. I actually preferred her dress from the semi-finals compared to this gold one. Both were nice, but I preferred the other one. Norway, I'd never get staging wrong. This will definitely go through, even from this first semi. People are talking about it winning so far. I think it's very premature to say that. We've got like 4 or 5 songs. Actually, I think we've got like 3 actual definitive songs. Czech is being revamped. Albania is being revamped. We haven't had any of the other big hitters yet, so it's very premature. Talking about this being top 10, I think, is very plausible. It does have the potential to win. I still think it would be a shock. Every winner song has a real like unusual edgy X factor to it. I don't think this has that. I think it's got an incredibly strong, solid base, but I don't think that has that extra oomph. It is possible, but I'd be surprised. But top 10 I think is very plausible. Really enjoyed watching Melodi Grand Prix. I'll definitely be watching it next year. I watch it every year, but never with this much interest, so I'm really looking forward to next year. So what did you think about Ulrikke winning? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.